Okay, so there's this new myth being written right now in the heart of Silicon Valley. And look, it's not about the next shiny gadget or a new app. It's about a fundamental shift in what it means to be human. And it is happening way faster than any of us can really wrap our heads around. And this quote, man, it just nails the core tension we're all facing. We are getting this incredible power to dream up anything we want. We're becoming gods of the why. But in that process, we might be giving up the very soul of creation, the actual doing, the building, the how. And right at the dead center of all this change, there's one entity. The source material doesn't just call it a company, it calls it something else entirely, a Leviathan, a massive, singular nervous system that's been quietly preparing for this exact moment for decades.
All right, so what exactly is this paradox? Let's really dig in and break down what the source is calling the paradox of the architect.
So here's the deal. The paradox is basically this massive trade-off. We're getting this unbelievable, almost magical power to turn our ideas directly into reality just by asking for them. But, and this is the crucial part, the struggle, the effort, the actual doing, that's the stuff that forges who we are. It builds our character. So what happens when that struggle is just gone? Okay, so now let's talk about the engine that's actually driving this whole thing. To really get what's happening, we've got to look closer at this entity at the center of it all, the Google Leviathan. So what makes Google so different, you ask? Well, it's that they operate like a single unified organism. See, it's not just that they have the search engine, the place where all our dreams and ideas get started. They also own the factory, the chips, the cloud, the hardware, the entire ecosystem where those dreams actually get built. They own the idea and the means of production.
And this slide, this is where it gets really interesting, because it shows you how this power plays out in the real world. So take this deal for a thing called Windsurf, a breakthrough AI coding agent. You had OpenAI, which the source calls a landless prince, right? They tried to buy it. But the deal got all tangled up in the friction of their partnership with Microsoft. It fell apart. Google, on the other hand, they moved like a ghost. They did what's called a hack-a-hire, just absorb the talent, license the core idea, and boom, it was integrated. No friction. At all. Just pure, silent, strategic execution. It's a totally different game.
And all this frictionless power, well, it's leading us towards something the source calls, pretty dramatically, the great amputation. Think of it like a two-act tragedy for the human spirit. So just take a look at this timeline here. You go back 20 years and Google search kicks off Act 1, the loss of memory. We all kind of stopped needing to know facts and just got really good at finding them. We outsourced our memory. Fast forward to today, and now we're deep in Act 2, the loss of effort. With these new AI agents, we're not just finding info, we're outsourcing the entire process of doing anything with it. This table right here, it just lays out the trade-off so clearly. Back in the era of search, the deal was simple. We traded our internal memory for universal access to information. Fair enough. But now, in this new era of agency, wow, the trade is so much steeper. We're giving up the how, the very act of effort, for what the source calls total sovereignty, which is just a fancy way of saying we can command reality with our thoughts. Okay, so this is the key mechanism for how this all works. It's called the agency effect. And this isn't about AI giving you a few helpful tips for your code, right? No. This is about the AI planning the whole project, building the solution from the ground up, and then deploying it for you, all while you just watch. It just strips the human right out of the doing process. So what does all this feel like for us, you and me, on a personal level? The source uses this really powerful analogy that makes this huge abstract problem feel incredibly real. Think about it this way. We're all being promoted. We're becoming like Prince Siddhartha, living in this frictionless palace where every single desire is met like instantly. It's a world with zero friction, a world of pure intent. But here's the catch. Just like Siddhartha found out, a life with zero struggle, a life without the doing, it can start to feel really, really empty. And that right there leads us to the big, kind of haunting question of this whole thing. When our tools do everything for us, what's left for us to do? I mean, what happens to the builder when the building just happens on its own? Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. So what's the solution? How are we supposed to navigate this wild new world? Well, the source material actually offers a path forward, a way to preserve what it calls the human spark. The most important thing to remember is where meaning actually comes from.
It's not just in looking up at the beautiful, finished cathedral. No, the real meaning, the human spark, it's found in the process, in the struggle. It's in the sweat of the person cutting the stone.
So the source lays out 3 concrete ways we can live inside this new palace. First up, architecture of meaning. Basically, if the AI is going to handle the how, then our job, our only job, is to make damn sure our why is a worthy one. Second, return to the physical. We've got to get our hands dirty again. Seek out what the author calls the beautiful struggle. In real-world things like building something with your hands or gardening or just connecting with people. And finally, number 3, intentional friction. This means actively choosing to do things yourself, not because the AI can't do it faster or better, but because you need that struggle to grow.
All right, let's wrap this up and look at the ultimate stakes here. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about some new tech. It's about something way, way deeper.
So the source makes this incredibly bold claim. The AI race, it's over, and Google already won. And they didn't win by just building a slightly better chatbot. No. They won because they built the entire foundation, the whole ecosystem, what the source calls the ground of being. It's like they've become the actual gravity that the future is now forced to orbit around.
And that leaves us with this one last, really provocative thought to chew on. The race for AI, the technological race, that might already be over. But a much more important one is just getting started. In a world where everything is done for us, the real race, the real fight, is to just stay awake, to stay engaged, and to hold on to the meaning that you can only find in the struggle. The race for the human soul has only just begun.